Welcome back to the Wickey Wackey Radio Show. I am your host, Reid.
And I'm Frank.
Today is St. Paddy's Day, as we're recording. But
whoop, whoop.
It's not St. Paddy's Day anymore if you're listening to this.
Bummer.
Oh, yeah, sure is a bummer. But have no fear. We're going to give you 17 things you can do to make up for missing St. Paddy's Day and how you can celebrate anyway. And it's going to be, it's a pretty good list. Pretty good list.
Well, can I just tell you, can I get out in front of one?
Yeah, go
Because
for
there's
it.
one on here that just kind of set the tone for me for this whole thing. And it's like, I could feel it. Like, let's say somehow you mess up and you lose a bet or something like that. And your buddies tell you that you have to stand outside of your local bar. Let's say it's an Irish bar you're always hanging out at, or, like our favorite show, Paddy's.
Yeah,
and
Paddy's
you have
Pub.
to stand outside with a sign that says, I missed St. Patrick's Day. I'm a loser. Something like that.
Yep.
That's hilarious to me. I could see it. Having to do that, or the gang doing it on It's Always Sunny. That being the punishment.
Right. Yep. I mean, that's a pretty good one. We'll go ahead and get that one on the list. That's a good one to start with because you kind of feel like a loser. Now you got to kind of punish yourself for feeling like a fool because you missed St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah, which is like one of the most epic holidays of the year.
Right. Of course.
Any drinking holiday is a good holiday in my book.
Yes, so standing outside of your local Irish pub, making like a public apology for missing St. Paddy's Day.
It's like that idea of shunning, or whatever.
Shaming, public shaming.
Yeah, you could have a sign that says like, "I failed my ancestors."
Yes.
Something like that.
Yep. That is one. But of course, you can do some of the typical things still. You can still wear green. Who says you can't wear green any other day? Just like you normally would. But you know why you're doing it. You're celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
Imagine if somebody imagined every day was St. Patrick's Day and they always wore some piece of green somewhere on them. That'd be pretty cool. I wonder if there's such a person amongst us who always has a little hidden piece of green cloth on part of their body just in case they get called.
You never know. Of course, something else you can do is watch some Irish films or listen to some Irish music. The Leprechaun. That's a whole series. They got like half a dozen of them at least.
Isn't it a horror film?
Yeah, like comedy horror.
Oh, is it comedy horror?
I think so. Or the Disney Channel classic, Luck of the Irish. Remember that one?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Growing up, my sister and I had to watch these future films for families, and they had one called Behind the Waterfall. And that's the one we watched over and over again. And it had a leprechaun, and they got caught in these fairy circles, and they danced and danced and danced until they regained their, sense of purpose and whatever. They kind of would lose their minds. They'd get into these fairy circles and just dance and dance and dance. And you can die, supposedly, according to legend like that. Just dance yourself to death in a fairy circle.
Well, you can dance yourself to death while you're listening to the Cranberries or U2. It's a good old Irish music.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not what you would call Irish music, but they're from Ireland.
Oh, I see. Well, couldn't you do something as simple as just go visit an Irish pub? I mean, you don't have to wear the red badge of shame around your neck or whatever that is.
Of course, you're right. That's the next one on the list. You can go visit the Irish pub. drink yourself silly with some Guinness.
Guinness, yeah.
Of course. Drink of choice on.
Hey, that reminds me. I've seen
Day.
this guy do this trend on YouTube Shorts or YouTube, where there's this challenge where you take a Guinness glass. They have these special glasses, and you get a Guinness draft, and you're supposed to pour it out a certain kind of way, and it gets up to a certain point on the glass, right? And then there's this challenge where you're supposed to, in one sip, perfectly line the line up, the level of where the beer's at, with the G in Guinness, with the line in the G, so that it's perfectly level with that line in the G.
Wow.
And there's this guy who just keeps slugging down the beer and then going, oops. And he even has subsequent videos where he's like, "Oh, I did it again."
It sounds like something he might be oops on purpose.
That's my kind of humor right there. That's all I want to say is like, that's epic. Just any excuse to chug Guinnesses. Perfect.
Right. Well, of course, Guinness is pretty tasty. I don't know the last time I even had some.
I think it's the tastiest. The extra stout is extra good.
Right? Of course.
You don't think so?
I don't?
No. You'd rather have the draft for sure.
Oh.
I bet you $100.
If the draft is like a regular stout, then yeah, probably.
It is.
Oh, okay. Then yeah. I might prefer it. I wouldn't doubt if I still wouldn't mind the extra stout.
Oh, it's amazing.
But you can drink those Guinnesses with the Irish meal you can make, because that's the next thing on the list. Corned beef. That's always a classic. With potatoes.
Really? Because the next one on mine said that you should seek out a leprechaun and apologize.
You could do that.
I don't know where you'd find one.
Well, that's part of it. You gotta find one and apologize to him, and until you do, you haven't made up for it yet.
I feel like the only place I have to go off of is at the end of a rainbow.
At the end of a rainbow?
Yeah, because there's supposedly a pot of gold. Don't the leprechauns guard a little pot of gold?
Yeah. At the end of the rainbow, yeah.
So I'd have to go to the end of a rainbow. But are they at the end of every rainbow or specific rainbow? 1 out of 3 rainbows, there's a leprechaun under it, or?
That's a good question. I don't know the mechanics of.
I wonder if there's an algorithm that
leprechauns and rainbows.
Discern how many rainbows I'd have to check to find a leprechaun.
The leprechaun algorithm?
I bet there's some kind of algebraic, algorithmic calculation you could perform, a computer could perform to determine that. The likelihood of leprechauns per rainbow, exploration.
Right. That's a good question. You'd think every...
We should get Elon on it.
He ought to know.
He probably would know.
If anybody's going to know the distribution of leprechauns to pots of gold at the end of rainbows...
He'd probably get excited and be like, "Oh, I wrote that algorithm in 3rd grade. I forgot all about it. It's under my bed in my old house."
Yeah. And then he'll bring it out and tell us on X, and
we'll be heroes.
Yeah, because we reminded him.
Yeah.
And speaking of X, you can follow us on X at contempconserv.
Right.
And the next thing you could do.
Well, I had a question though about, do you think that just apology alone would work on a leprechaun, or do you think you'd have to give it some kind of, like make amends, give it some kind of, like, I almost want to say sacrifice, but that sounds weird.
Right. Like a token of
a
forgiveness.
Yeah, something. Pay it some kind of... What do you think? Are leprechauns that nice? Because like you said, in that horror movie, and I feel like they get a bad rap, and I don't know if... Is it just a bad rap, or are they kind of mischievous in nature? And
I think they send mixed messages because it's it's the 4-leaf clovers and the luckiness of it all, but then you get the little leprechauns. What are they doing? Are they stealing the gold? Is that how they end up with it?
when, I almost think of, you almost have to let that little leprechaun with the Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
And he's always like trying to keep it away from the kids.
Yeah, because it's magically delicious.
He's trying to like keep it to himself. They're after his heart, stars, and horseshoes and whatever. I probably shouldn't sing it all.
Well, that's the whole thing, because it's the same with that darn rabbit.
Tricks.
Yeah, it's a silly rabbit. They're for kids, not a sponsor.
None of them are. Nobody's a sponsor.
Wow. What is it with cereal box characters stealing the cereal from the kids?
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
I bet they use a lot of food dye
well,
in the cereal.
One of the best things you can do to celebrate St. Paddy's Day, if you missed it, is go out and do a random act of kindness, because St. Patrick was known for spreading kindness in his faith.
That's true. That's actually what he did, was he brought Christianity to Ireland.
That's right. We talked about that last year when we did some fun facts about St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, because
So
it's
check
a
that
fun holiday.
Right? Oh, right. What do you think the next one is?
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's about going out and taking your own food dye and like dyeing stuff green, like your whatever, morning coffee or
Yeah, anything.
whatever, your eggs,
Yep.
your toast, dye your toast green, your
Go around
oatmeal.
the whole day with a pocket of, not a pocket of, but a little bottle in your pocket of green fruit dye, and just dye all your food. Even at the restaurant.
Dye your apple juice green, and your
Ooh,
water
yeah.
green.
And the apple juice, you can just say it's like sour
Green
apple.
beer.
Yeah.
Or like a hard cider.
Ooh,
except
yeah.
It's not hard.
Right?
It's not hard.
Hard. Hard like my potatoes.
Potatoes.
Well, I mean, people are probably going to think you're weird for just dyeing all your food, but...
Well, so what, I love that. The dramatic aspect
Yeah.
of it, where you're just like... Because that could start a conversation, too, where people are like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I miss St. Patrick's Day, man, but it's always St. Patrick's Day, I figure.
Yeah. And you can tell them how important St. Patrick's Day is to you, and this is how you express your way of making up for it when you've missed it.
Can you imagine being like, hey, brother, take some green food coloring and clink apple juices with me?
Yeah. Get all your buddies to do it. You think they'll do
Yeah,
it
there
2
you
days
go.
after St. Paddy's
Oh,
Day?
you could freak other people out at other tables, and they think that they've got the date wrong or something like that. Or that it's Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
Imagine you did a movie. Hey, this is like an aside, but you can leave it in or whatever. But imagine you have a movie that's like St. Patrick's Day, that's like a ripoff of Groundhog's Day, where it's just like that movie, except it's like a group of friends who just relive it over and over and over until they finally, I don't know, come to
sick of
some character arc that we haven't written yet.
Yeah, we'll fill all that in
Yeah,
later.
that's right. We'll fix it in post.
I love it.
You love it? I love
it.
it too. I love it too. This is an excuse to drink on set, to do travel, budget, and,
St. Groundhog's Day.
No, St.
that's
Patrick's Day.
We don't want to ruin his good
St.
name.
Party's Day. The
yeah.
movie. 2026.
2026. Keep coming to a theater near you sometime.
Yeah, maybe a select theater.
Yeah.
Near you. TBD. TBD.
Yep. Yeah. TBD. All right. Well, next on our list of the things you could do to make up for missing St. Paddy's Day is it's a difficult one for some people, including myself.
But not for Crazy Paddy.
It's to speak with an Irish accent for the whole day.
I don't need to be sloppy to bring out my Irish accent, laddie.
I'm not even going to give it an attempt, but if you would like to hear my attempt, you can become a paid subscriber to our podcast host Red Circle, where we both gave it our best shot before the show.
Oh, come on, I'm Crazy Paddy. Crazy Paddy.
Well, Frank's giving a taste of it.
Just a little sample.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Give him a little teaser.
Yeah, but you got a tip.
Yeah.
The sample's free, but you got a tip.
Right. That's how it works these days.
I'm just saying from a waitress's point of view, for bringing it over and all that.
Right. Well, we were talking about, finding the leprechauns at the end of the rainbows to catch one. But what you can do is you just set up little leprechaun traps around the house.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think, what would you use, magnets?
Oh, that'd be one that would make sense since they're carrying around the little pots of gold, which are metal.
Or, maybe you hire little ghouls?
Yeah, little ghouls that are the nemesis to leprechauns.
Or maybe I heard that they milk steak.
Right? That works. You can set a little trap, kind of like a mouse trap, but put a little milk steak in it.
Or raw jelly beans.
Right? I suppose, I don't know what, I mean, other than pots of gold, what are
Whatever
leprechauns?
hornets make.
Yeah. A whole bottle of that. But yeah, just set up some leprechaun traps around your home. Little sticky things that got little pots of gold.
Like fly traps?
Yeah, kind of like fly trap. I'd go for anything. A little mouse trap-like traps, fly traps, any kind of
Venus fly traps?
Ooh, yeah, hide the pot of gold right under the
Are they that
Venus.
small? I didn't think they were that small. I just thought they were really good at hiding.
I imagine they're teeny tiny,
They are? They're that small? Are they microscopic?
I don't know about
Could we be
microscopic.
covered in them right now and we
I
don't
hope
even
not.
know it?
I don't think they're that small. I hope
That's a
not.
new conspiracy theory.
I'm thinking just a couple inches. Not even a whole foot. These guys.
What if they're sub-microscopic? And that's why they still haven't been discovered. Is because you need a sub-microscope.
I think they're slightly bigger than fairies.
I don't think fairies are real.
Well, good thing leprechauns are.
I saw a leprechaun once.
Right.
He did. He double-crossed me on a dare.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, how'd that go?
Well, I lost. So he said that for the rest of the day, I had to whisper, "Top of the morning to ya," to everybody I met.
Oh, yeah.
Which is another thing you might have to do.
Right? It's
If your buddies dared you, because you sort of effed up. Maybe you didn't show up for a party, or you didn't show up to a wedding that was on that day, or some big event. And so they told you had to do that. Top of the morning to you, to everybody you see, all day.
Yeah.
All day long.
Well, that's on the list.
Top of the
one
morning
things
to
can
you.
do. Yeah. You just, as you walk by people, top of the morning to you. Just keep on walking.
They'd be like, "What?"
Well, you just keep walking.
Would you say it again? Oh, you just keep
Nope,
walking?
Just keep walking.
Top of the morning to you, lassie.
Top of the morning to you. And just keep going. I mean, that's one of the most kind of fun ones I think so far.
Yeah.
A little mystery to it.
Imagine if you just kept saying it, like, even if people were like, what? And you were like, top of the morning to you. You know? Or you just sat, like, looking at your own reflection on the subway bus on the window, like, saying, top of the morning to you. Top of the morning to you.
Or you're talking
So
in
you
your
could, like,
rearview
punch it,
mirror.
do the Joaquin Phoenix thing, and, like, punch your reflection. And be like, getting aggressive with it. Top of the morning to you.
You're becoming a leprechaun.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Shyamalan twist.
Right?
You become the leprechaun slowly over the course of the day or whatever.
Yeah. Right?
That's genius.
And by the end of the night, you're down by the river, sticking a little gold coin in a boat, sailing on down.
What's the point of that? You get, like, trapped in the boat or what?
No, you send off the coin into the down the river on the boat, like kind of like a
Moses into the Reid.
I suppose, yeah. I was just thinking it's like kind of like another token of forgiveness for missing St. Paddy's Day, or to send off good
I'm
luck.
not sending off a gold coin in a boat.
It doesn't have to be real. It could be a
like
goldfish.
one of those chocolate coins.
Yeah, like one of them. Or goldfish.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you can either do it as a token of forgiveness to make up for your missing the St. Paddy's Day, or you do it as like a gesture of the spirit of.
Luckily, I just don't think
the
in
luck.
this economy the whole gold coin concept scares the heck out of me.
Well,
And I heard of another one where you could just go leave a bag of potatoes on someone's porch. And that
that's a
sounds
good
much more feasible and, like, economic in these trying times.
Well, I'm sure everybody would appreciate an extra sack of potatoes.
I just wonder, it's only one step away from, like, the kids, like, tossing bags of potatoes through people's windows and stuff. Like,
Ooh.
you could a
Instead
sack
of
of
rocks?
potatoes is, like, pretty decently heavy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
you could do some damage.
and
with
you
that.
could try to play this whole thing where you're like, oh, it was in good, it was in the spirit of good. We wanted to feed them. We heard they were hard up, and it was an accident that it, like, hit their window, like, it was an accident.
I mean, there's a difference between throwing the sack of potatoes and then just.
Well, you'd be like, we had a lot of
placing.
houses to hit tonight.
Oh.
And then, see, you're even kind of giving a little mental slide into the hit, right? Like, we're trying to just go. It's like being a mail boy. They don't always hit their target, and they're forgiven, albeit they are just throwing paper.
Well, these people wouldn't. Because it's supposed to be like a surprise. You don't just go tossing sacks of potatoes to everybody.
Well, that's the fun of it.
Oh, man.
Maybe you don't know where they're going to land, and maybe you do go throw them at everybody.
I don't know about that. That doesn't sound very St. Patrick-like.
No, it doesn't. But, well, giving away potatoes does. For the good of the land.
Yeah, that's
and the
why
people.
you go up and you just put the sack of potatoes on their porch.
I heard he was a bad boy who drove all the snakes out of the land.
Yeah.
So what if
a bad arse?
What if you imagined that it was a bad guy who's, like, robbing a bank, and he threw a sack of potatoes at him and got the guy? It could be good. That could be the whole thing, though, is, like, they're throwing potatoes so quick and so fast at everybody that they have a few mistakes, and they have a few successes, too, where they get the bank robber, but they also, like, whack, took out the Joneses' mailbox.
Oh, well, okay, I guess we can sacrifice a few mailboxes.
Well, and maybe somebody goes, like, "Hoo!" in one scene, but you don't even know who it is. Some guy who was in the bushes outside of,
Well, maybe he should have been hiding in the bushes. I'm all in. We can toss potatoes everywhere.
Have potatoes falling from the sky.
That's right. Have the potatoes falling from the rafters. Yeah. Right. Well, Anyway, so we got mosey on through the list, and it's you miss St. Paddy's Day, and sometimes
I didn't miss St. Patrick's Day. I'm sick of telling you that.
I mean, okay, people miss St. Patrick's Day sometimes for various reasons. Sometimes you get
because they're a loser.
Yeah, that's the biggest reason. And sometimes you get confused about the day, You get excited, you think the day before is St. Paddy's Day, but...
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, and then you're all wasted all the next day.
Wasted? I've never been wasted.
And you done missed it because you're too excited. But you missed it nonetheless, and you got to make up for it.
You got to atone.
You got to atone. And
so what do you do?
There's a few ways to do that here. One of the first things you do is you write a letter to the Irish government and stating about how you're sorry that you missed St. Paddy's Day. That's the first thing you gotta do.
I think that one's subtly genius. Like, they would care, wouldn't they?
Well, who else would?
Exactly.
Other than St. Patrick himself.
Who else is going to give you a better response than they would?
Right? Exactly.
Dear sir or ma'am, we are proud to tell you that we forgive you. I bet you that's how it would answer. Something like that.
Yeah.
Signed the prime minister, signed the king, signed whoever
Right.
the hell is in charge over there.
Uh-huh.
I'm not just trying to curse, but I don't know who's in charge over there. So...
Neither
You had
do
a big
I.
fat signature on there from whoever was in charge. That'd be pretty cool.
Right? I mean, that's the first place I would start. If you're atoning for your sin of
You
missing
start
St.
there?
Paddy, well, maybe not start there, but there's plenty
It's
of
pretty
other better.
far down your list.
I mean, it is pretty far down the list. But out of the things you can do for the atoning part, the other things are more like celebratory things.
This one seems like you might get a legitimate response. Because
Right.
even if they say nothing, or, they tell you no, that's how I should put it. Even if they tell you no, then putting it on official letterhead and addressing you back makes it seem like you have some kind of legitimate, dialogue with these people.
Exactly.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty official.
Right. Yeah. How many other people can say that, folks? Have you ever? Do you have such certificate?
I only have a certificate that says I graduated college.
Okay. Well.
Oh, I think I have one that says I graduated high school too, but it's somewhere else.
All right. Well, next thing you're gonna do.
I know what I'm gonna do.
I'm
gonna wake up at 3:17.
While you're waiting on your response from the Irish government.
That's right. I'm going to wake up at 3:17 every morning and say a prayer of atonement for missing that holy day.
Exactly. I'm going to say it right to St. Patrick.
I'm going to make sure that's one alarm I will not miss. I will wake up, I'll say my prayer. St. Patrick will forgive me, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
I also have a Guinness, but I don't think I'm supposed to say that. A priest wouldn't appreciate that, I don't think. Would he? I don't know.
I don't either.
But I say my prayer first.
Right.
Then I have a Guinness and go back to bed.
Yep. Right. That makes sense. I think that'll be okay.
It's part of the atonement.
Right. Exactly. Part of the prayer ritual.
Yeah, and it's part of the letter that I sent to the Irish government. I told them that my consumption of Guinness should make up for, I told them I'd step up my use of Guinness over the next year.
Right. Well, the next thing one can do is like old school Bible school while you're at the Catholic school, St. Patrick's school. Punishment is you write, I will not forget March 17th 100 times or more. or more, at least
Until
100.
it sinks in.
Yeah. Yep. Just keep writing it over and over and over and over and.
That's one that
Yeah.
doesn't help me. My stepdad used to make us do that with vocabulary words so that we would remember them. But I remember like getting upset with him one time and being like, just writing them alone doesn't help me remember them. And it's so dumb. It was like an extra homework assignment that he would assign you to write them 10 times, 20 times. And it's like, that's so dumb.
Right.
It didn't help me remember them. But I've definitely seen this and heard this. Who hasn't? You know, having to just do lines.
Yep.
Over and over. I will not miss March 17th. I will not miss March 17th.
Yep.
Imagine if you just got it tattooed on your forehead. So you had to see it every time you looked in a mirror.
Oh, that's extreme.
That's it. Muchos extremos.
Exactly, folks.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
gosh.
speaking of that, you know, the cats are brown now. And imagine if you had to visit your local Catholic priest and make a confession about missing St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Father, I'm so sorry. I messed up. I got the days wrong and I'm drunk too much. That's the problem. I'm just drunk too much. I miss St. Patrick's Day. I can't believe it. I'm an utter failure to my race, to my religion,
The ancestry.
to my culture.
Yes, and all of it. I mean, you can go to any of them. Any of your local Catholic churches, show up for confessional to confess your sin of missing.
Hey,
St.
are you the
Patrick's
one?
Day.
Will you sell me a bottle of wine?
So will I sell you the bottle of wine?
Yeah, you have the sacrament wine. I heard you had a side business in that. You'd sell it. It's like a.
Oh.
Are you the one?
I'm not the.
Oh, okay. I understand.
I'm not the guy.
Right. I'll meet you in the bell tower in 10 minutes.
I'm not the guy.
Right. I have that donation you requested.
Well, you know.
No, I don't know.
He doesn't know because
Spit it out.
I think the brown cat's got my tongue. But you know we've gone through the whole list, the 17, because that's the important number here. The 17 things you can do to make up for and celebrate the fact that some of you, one of yous out there, missed St. Patrick's Day. And you gotta make
you
up
have
for
some
it.
atonement to do.
Exactly. So, heed these suggestions and go forthwith.
If you can capture the picture of a leprechaun, send it our way, because I still don't believe in them.
Yeah, tweet or
I do
X
believe in
us,
fairies.
whatever they say at contempconserv. Well, on there, or True Social at contempconserv.
I've actually met a few fairies, but I've never met a leprechaun.
I can't say I've met either.
You've met a fairy.
Oh, okay. I trust your judgment. All right, folks. Well, if you enjoyed this episode of the Wickey Wackey Radio Show, be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And again, if you'd like to hear our attempts at some Irish accents, you're going to have to become a paid subscriber to our podcast. Search Red Circle to hear those.
That's right, and we hope you might share us with any leprechauns or alcoholics that you know in your life and encourage them to become paid subscribers so that they have access to the same mystical, magical, and entertaining stuff that you have access to. And as always, we thank you so much for listening, lassie.